Mobili. The 10 vintage Harley-Davidsons that cost more than a modern cruiser. Unsurprisingly, some of these examples sell for a lot more than a modern-day Harley cruiser on sale today. That's what we're focusing on today by providing you with a list of vintage Harleys that are pricier than your favorite new HD bikes. 10. 2010 Harley-Davidson Crossbones. For a model that was only in production from 2008 to 2012, the Crossbones made an impact as a modern-day cruiser inspired by the old-school bobbers of the past. With its Springer front end, solo saddle, and classic retro flair, this bike gave the riders of today a taste of the past, but with more contemporary features. In addition to being a perfect blend of new-age engineering and vintage style, the Crossbones was a very comfortable cruiser. A wide-sprung seat and floorboards ensured the rider could spend hours on this bike non-stop without feeling any fatigue. This comfort level was also supported by its soft suspension system. Aside from having a retro style that spoke for itself, the Crossbones also delivered enough horsepower and torque to satisfy laid-back riders who weren't afraid to show a little aggression. Powered by an air-cooled twin-cam 96 engine, it provided riders with the ideal amount of power for the perfect cruising speed along long country roads and open suburban streets. Thanks to all this, it can still fetch a high price that would be deemed reasonable. 9. 1982 Harley-Davidson FXB Sturgis. There probably hasn't been a brand more ingrained and influential in motorcycle culture than Harley-Davidson. So it only made sense that, in honor of the 50th anniversary of the massively popular motorcycle festival in Sturgis, South Dakota, the manufacturer commemorated a limited edition model under the same name. From 1980 to 1982, this blacked-out cruiser was quite the collector's item. Certainly an eye-catcher for the post-AMF era of Harley-Davidson fans, only 830 units had been built at the time. Based on the existing FX platform at the time, the Sturgis stood apart from its brethren as the B in its model name stood for the company's new belt final drive. It featured an 80 cu, 1,340 cubic centimeters, air-cooled V-twin engine, with an updated 4-speed transmission, front and rear disc brakes, and mag wheels. With orange accents, a connection with the famous Sturgis Rally, and only limited quantities, desirability for this rare bike is understandably high among passionate Harley-Davidson enthusiasts. It wasn't until the 1990s when the Sturgis made a brief return as the fxstb under the Dyna platform featuring the new Evolution V-twin engine. 8. 2002 Harley-Davidson FLSTC Heritage Softail Classic. If we are going to bring up Harley-Davidson models that embody old-school cool, then the 2002 Heritage Softail Classic deserves to be on this list. Since the 1980s, Harley-Davidson has been producing the Heritage as a factory-made ode to the past. With classic features like the full FL front fender, ample amounts of chrome, studded leather seats with leather tassels, and 50s-style leather saddlebags, the Heritage Softail Classic is a 20th-century blast from the past. Having a JD power value of $20,010, this bike is a hit among retro fans who adore the classic look without breaking the bank. The Heritage is also valued for being the perfect bridge between softail cruisers and long-distance touring bikes. This bike shares nearly all the same qualities of a Road King, but without the added bulk, making it easier to pick up and less stressful to maneuver. Housed on a medium-sized steel softail frame, it's no mistake that the Heritage remains in production. 7. 1978 FLH Anniversary Edition. Special edition Harley-Davidsons often garner a higher level of admiration compared to standard models. And the 1978 FLH Anniversary Edition stands as a prime example. Marking 75 years since the company's inception, the 1978 model holds a significant place in Harley-Davidson's history, with this particular touring bike reigning supreme as the unofficial ruler of the road. During the 1970s, touring bikes were earning a positive reputation for their muscular build, prioritizing rider comfort and stability during long-distance journeys, traits that remain highly valued today. Featuring its signature root beer brown metal flake paint, batwing fairing, floorboards, forward controls, hard saddlebags, bag guards, and touring seat, this motorcycle offers everything retro lovers desire for a cross-country adventure. As touring bikes continue to be among the most sought-after models at Harley-Davidson dealerships, the 1978 FLH Anniversary Edition stands as a prime example of its enduring commitment to quality and innovation. 6. 1964 Harley-Davidson XLH Sportster. The Sportster has been the longest-running production model in Harley-Davidson's history, and it has taken on many forms since its inception in 1957. Within a few years of its debut, the Sportster was a huge hit worldwide. Specifically, the 1964 XLH that showed signs of inspiration from the popular cafe racers dominating overseas in Britain and Europe. Not to be outdone, the XLH was an American-made alternative middleweight motorcycle for riders more focused on short, local rides instead of long-distance touring. Rather than the highway, this bike was better primed for urban streets and drag strips where instant power and reliable handling came into play. At a time when hot rods and speed were all the rage, this early Sportster had a big role in keeping Harley-Davidson in business. 5. 1969 FLH Electra Glide. The shovelhead era was an interesting shift for vintage Harley-Davidson motorcycles. Named after the distinctive shape of its valve cover, the shovelhead featured rocker arms attached to the rocker cover rather than the head itself. Quite a big change from the previous panhead engine. It was also during the late 1960s/early 1970s when touring bikes were becoming more and more in demand. For many eager customers, the FLH Electra Glide was a prime candidate for a long-distance cruiser. Able to produce more power, the shovelhead engine became a valuable asset to the FLH Electra Glide, allowing it to handle greater amounts of weight for extended periods of non-stop riding. The factory also had an optional King of the Highway package for this bike, which featured a fiberglass fairing on the handlebars, hard saddlebags, and a top case in the rear. This early version of the Electra Glide eventually grew to become the foundation of Harley-Davidson's touring lineup. With features like a larger V-twin engine, floorboards, improved suspension, muscular appearance, and a larger frame, the 1969 FLH Electra Glide can acquire a high price on the auction block. Especially since this was also a year before AMF briefly took ownership of the Harley-Davidson brand. 4. 1956 Harley-Davidson KHK. In the mid-1950s, British motorcycle brands like Triumph were making a name for themselves in the United States. Due to them being more compact, maneuverable, powerful, and affordable than some of their American counterparts, they were an instant hit among the motorcycling community. Taking note of this, Harley-Davidson responded with their own compact Sportster, the KHK. This factory-built hot rod cruiser borrowed similar design elements from its British competitors in an effort to produce a similar model that had strong racing qualities that were fit for city streets. Certainly the bike of choice for the growing wave of social rebels and renegades in post-World War II America. Along with some updated cylinder heads that offered improved airflow for its high-lift cams, the KHK was a small but mighty cruiser that was capable of instant racing thrills. With its roots in the racing scene, Harley-Davidson brought that same competitive energy into this performance-based Sportster. 3. 1960 FLH Duo-Glide. The panhead era of Harley-Davidson, much like the shovelhead era, is oozing with old-school cool. By replacing the Knucklehead's cast iron heads with aluminum, there was a noticeable reduction in weight and excess heat. The panhead also came equipped with hydraulic lifters to cut down on unwanted noise and vibrations to create a smoother, more comfortable ride. The FLH Duo-Glides featured a 74 cu panhead engine given their large size and touring capabilities. With its excessive use of chrome, two-tone color schemes, color-matching windshield, solo leather Springer seat, and touring package, the 1960 FLH Duo-Glide continues to turn heads after more than 60 years off the factory line. In addition, this bike features a cat's-eye speedometer cluster, a larger chain drive, and external oil lines to the valve gear. Today, riders may find several design elements in the modernized Hyperglide revival. 2. 1974 Harley-Davidson XR750 Alloy. With deep roots in the racing community, the company's most successful model to ever appear on the racetrack is the legendary XR750. Making its debut in 1970, the bike succeeded the KR750 in being the go-to model when it came to racers intent on dominating the scene. With its Sportster-based engine, the XR750 was a force to be reckoned with as it tore through the dirt and mud for decades. In case you were wondering, this bike would go on to dominate 28 out of 37 AMA Grand National Championships, and later earn the title of the winningest motorcycle in AMA Pro Racing motorcycle history. If those accolades weren't enough, the XR750 was also the bike of choice for legendary stuntman Evel Knievel for many of his death-defying stunts. 1. 1941 EL Knucklehead. Harley-Davidson's early Knuckleheads were some of the technically advanced motorcycles to hit the market in the late 1930s. It was more than just an engineering marvel that surpassed the flatheads. It became the new design standard with its smooth, well-balanced lines that the company continues to utilize today. This low-profile cruiser is a shining example of the pre-war Harley-Davidson style with its teardrop-shaped fuel tank, flared front and rear fenders, and Springer seat. For a 1941 factory standard EL Knucklehead that is in excellent, running condition, its value has dramatically appreciated over the years.
I hope to inspire you and help you learn more about your favorite theme. Subscribe to my channel and let me know what you think.